What's going on YouTube? So late last year we showed you guys the all-new Dodge Charger, but that was a two-door model. However, for those of you who had the last generation Charger, you might be wondering, where are my other two doors? Well, here they are. This is the four-door version of the Dodge Charger, and today we get to take a look at it and show you everything that's different. Let's get to it. So let's kick things off here by taking a little bit of an exterior tour. We'll start, of course, up here in the front. So the sedan version of the Charger is going to carry pretty much the same look. So you're still going to have that very powerful muscle car appearance, even though you have something that's a lot more practical than your normal two-door model. Now, this is going to be available in the 6-pack, which has an inline 6-cylinder, and also the Daytona, which is a full electric model. We've got the Daytona with us today. That means up here in the front, you're going to notice some unique touches, including this big old front scoop that allows for the air to flow through. You also have a little bit of ventilation down here at the bottom, your illuminated Fratzog logo, and then you have the illumination across the front with your LED headlights and your turn signal indicators. Moving on to the wheels, we've got a 20-inch alloy on board. As you can see, this has got a matte gray finish, but you can get various different designs depending on what you prefer. You've got some big old Brembo brakes back there with the color contrast red finish. Those look absolutely fantastic. And then as we move above here, we've got the carbon fiber finish on our mirrors. Of course, these are going to come with the standard affair of technology, including blind spot monitoring. But I'll pass it off to Mason, who will show you the profile.
And you heard Drew, here it is. Here are the four doors for the Charger. Now I have to say, here in person, I typically like coupes and the way they look, but the four-door version still looks very handsome in my opinion. Honestly, this is a very big vehicle, about 206 inches long is how long the coupe version is. So adding the extra door really doesn't sacrifice the overall design too much in my opinion. Now we do have a blacked out roof up here at the top, which kind of adds to the style. And as we move around to the rear for this Dodge Charger four-door, we're not going to see any design changes. Of course, this is just the four-door version, so we have that kind of retro modern look here in the back. I think it looks really quite nice. Now, as far as specific design touches, our glass is kind of raked back. We have a blacked out spoiler here sitting on the deck lid, and as far as the lighting, that's going to of course be a major part of the rear design. It's full length LED all the way across the back. You have your LED turn signal and LED brake light, LED reverse light, and importantly, you also have an illuminated logo as well. Now as we drop down to the lower fascia, this of course is the Daytona, so this is the electric version. We do of course have Fratzonic exhaust on this model. However, like Drew mentioned, this is available in both the electric version as well as the 6-pack, so you can have traditional exhaust outlets back here as well as a traditional engine setup. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, of course, that will depend largely on what trim level you select, but you're going to have the vast majority, if not all of them, as standard equipment on most of the Dodge Charger lineup. But guys, there's quite a lot to talk about on the inside, including the rear seats and cargo space. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Let's move on to the interior. First, let's take a look at the key fob. As you can see, we've got the available carbon fiber finish on the key fob. Really nice look to this, and you'll see throughout, including, of course, I already showed you the mirrors, but the interior has a lot of the carbon fiber used as well. Now to get inside, just press behind that pad there, and that will open up the door. And then there is the interior of the Dodge Charger. Now, like I was talking about, I think a lot of people who will choose this model maybe had the previous generation. And compared to the previous generation, you're going to notice a huge modernization of this interior and a lot nicer finishes overall. But before we jump into that stuff, let's talk about our seats. So we have a suede and leather combination seat. As you can see, we've got the performance buckets. Really nice look to these seats. I absolutely love these seats. Again, you've got that suede in the center there that's going to hold you in place when you're cornering aggressively, and over here on the bolsters. The seats have a ton of adjustment as well, including a power thigh extension for maximum comfort and four-way lumbar support. You also have memory seats over here on the door trim as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside and get into some of the individual details. First detail I want to look at is just the overall materials. So over here on the door trim, we have a leatherette. Again, I was talking about the carbon fiber, and you can see there's a lot of it. It just kind of waterfalls down through here and goes behind the door grab. I think it looks super cool in person. You also have some leatherette across the top. Two stitching details, and that leatherette goes all through here. We got a little bit of Daytona branding. The carbon fiber continues back into the other door trim. Some suede accents through the center section, and then more leatherette and carbon fiber through the middle. So this cabin really does have a lot of nice finishes, and it looks very cool as well. Now, I'll fire it up with the push button start, very prominently located behind the shifter. And now that it's fired up, let's take a look at the gauge cluster first. So this has the largest version of the gauge cluster. It's a 16-inch display. Resolution on this, guys, is really phenomenal. You also have some different designs that you can choose from to kind of customize the overall finish. But like I said, resolution is fantastic. There's also the available head-up display that's going to be on your Plus versions. As we go back to the steering wheel, we got this new steering wheel for the Dodge brand. I love the thick feel of this. It's squared off on the top and the bottom. Since this is the Daytona, we also have the Power Shot, which boosts the power up by 40 horsepower for 10 seconds to give you maximum performance. The wheel itself is power, tilt, and telescoping as well. And then taking a look at interior storage, that kind of opens up to the side there. You can see the console has plenty of space, although we don't have our donuts with us today in Detroit. This is a kind of an early first look. Up in front of that, we've got our two cup holders. You have more storage up here and a very large wireless phone charging pad. In terms of the shifter, you've got that pistol grip shifter. Pull back for drive, of course. When you go into reverse, there's what your backup camera looks like. It does have a 360 camera. And then you have your electronic parking brake located right there behind that. As we move above, we have a row of climate controls. These are going to be capacitive touch, so you can just kind of tap on these. They give you a little bit of haptic feedback, or you can kind of push into the whole panel as well if you want to do that. This is dual zone automatic, and some additional functions will be inside of the screen. You also, along the side of the screen, have some shortcuts which can launch the heated seats, the available ventilated seats, which I think is super cool to be paired with the performance seats that we have. And then you also have a heated steering wheel. As far as the screen itself, it's 12.3 inches. This has Uconnect 5.0, so it's going to be very familiar for anybody who's had FCA or Stellantis products in the past few years. You have your apps that you can go into. Of course, you also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This has some additional apps for the electric components of the vehicle. As far as the audio situation is concerned, there's an available 18-speaker Alpine sound system. We did get to sample that out in our first drive of the two-door model, so you can check that out on the channel if you want to see that. And of course, you got the auto-dimming mirror, HomeLink, universal remotes, and a very large panoramic sunroof, which does not open or have a sunshade. But now it's time for me to pass it off to Mason, because of course, what you really came here to see is what are those back seats like and what is the cargo capacity.
Now, sitting in the back seats of the Charger 4-door, I have to say is quite impressive, because you really would not guess that you are in a muscle car, especially with the amount of space and features that you'll find back here. So let's go ahead and get into that. I'm sure that's a very important part of why you're watching this video. So as far as these space figures are concerned, Dodge is actually saying the 4-door version is the same legroom and headroom wise as the 2-door version. It's just mainly an accessibility thing, because obviously it's way easier to just, open the door and put your kid back here or what not. Now, that is very good news because we have 37 inches of both leg and headroom, which are very impressive figures. That's going to be a lot more than what you'll find in the typical muscle car. And of course, we brought the official Car Confections ruler along. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". I am 5'9", and look at that. I have over 9 inches of knee space. There is tons of room back here. The seats themselves are also quite comfortable. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, and we additionally have pretty nice features such as a fold-down center armrest with cup holders inside, and USB ports and heated back seats. So you're even going to have quite a lot of features when it comes to this Charger. Down below we have vents as well. You have a cool view of these performance seats from the rear. And then as far as the rear door trim is concerned, you'll notice, of course, we have frameless glass, so that's cool first and foremost. And then we have a leatherette really on all the upper part, carbon fiber all through the center section, and even a little bit of door storage down below. And now let's check out the cargo area as well. So in order to get back here, all you have to do is press that button, and then that's going to release the power lift back here. And look at how much space you guys have. Oh my goodness, this is a ton of room. Now, we don't have a full space figure when it comes to behind the second row seats. Dodge actually only quoted the maximum figure, which they say is about 38 cubic feet in this Dodge Charger 4-door version. That is a ton of room, guys. That's, SUVs are about 40 to 50 cubic feet of space. So if you're looking for a very practical muscle car, this may be your best choice, that's for sure. Now, as you can see, there is a ton of length back here behind the second row of seats. And then if you want to fold those seats down, you can also do that. They fold 60-40 split. There are not any handles to do it, so I will have to go up to the second row and do it myself. And now that I've got those seats folded down, as you can see, they fold flat with the floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. This is not normally something I would do in a muscle car, but overall cargo length is ridiculously long. 83 inches in this behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. From behind the second row of seats, you can expect 46 inches of length. That is very long. Now, as far as the opening, that is coming in at 39 inches wide. And the height, of course, that is going to vary depending on where you measure from. But from the tallest point, you're looking at about 22 inches. And down here towards the end of the cargo area, you're only looking at about 8 inches. So that's something to keep in mind. Cargo load-in, it's going to be pretty decent at about 32 inches. If I lift up the floor, you will not find a spare tire. This is the electric model. I'm not exactly sure about the if the gasoline version will have a spare tire. Those details will come in the future. Of course, some of the details, like official cargo capacity and official second row legroom, those are still in the works because this is a very early first look, so please keep that in mind.
Now, like we mentioned, we had the privilege of driving this Daytona model late last year. So we're going to go ahead and jump to some footage of that, just so you can see what it's actually like to experience behind the wheel. It has up to 670 horsepower when you press the power shot button, and 0 to 60 is only about 3.3 seconds. All right, and that was above 60 miles per hour in the RT version of the Charger Daytona. So again, to kind of recap a little bit, we did discuss in depthly some of the things regarding the naming of this model in part 1. But Daytona means that this is the electric version. It's going to be sold in 2 versions, RT and Scat Pack. The RT model is going to be your standard version, but it still has a lot of power on board, 456 horsepower to be exact. Now, obviously, if you get the Scat Pack model, that can boost you up to pretty insane performance numbers as well, as much as 670 horsepower.
Yeah, so the standard is 630 horsepower for that Scat Pack model. And, why Drew said up to 670 is because this is an electric vehicle, and it has a really cool button on the steering wheel called Power Shot. And if you press the Power Shot button, you get an extra 40 horsepower. So that also goes for this model as well. So instead of the 456, you have a maximum of 496 horsepower and 404 pound-feet of torque. So all told, 0 to 60 on the standard RT model can be as little as 4.6 seconds, according to 4.7, excuse me, according to Dodge. And then the Scat Pack model comes in at a whopping 3.3 seconds, which they were quick to point out is actually a performance increase in some of their other very high-end Hellcat models, that's for sure.
All right, I'm going to stop again. Let's power shot this.
Has a little timer on there. Power shot completed, it says. It's a little bit of a funny name for it, but it's kind of a cool feature to have, that's for sure. Now, we did toggle it into sport mode, which of course is going to give you a little bit more noise entering into the cabin. You heard that from that acceleration there. It definitely makes quite a bit of noise inside and out.
Now, as far as how the power is put to the ground, you do have a dual motor all-wheel drive system. However, one of the cool things about this is that you can actually choose different drive modes, which will disconnect the front electric motor when you're in that like Scat Pack model, and that's going to allow you to actually unlock a drift mode, and you also have a drag mode, so you can take this to the drag strip, you can take it out in the track, you know, have a real blast with it.
Now, additionally, part of the reason why you're able to put down so much of that power is because you have a limited slip diff as standard equipment as well. And I do just want to mention the battery size. Regardless of which model you pick, the RT or the Scat Pack, you're going to have a 100.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. For the Daytona version of this vehicle, that's a pretty decent sized battery pack, that's for sure. And as far as charging is concerned, of course, that's important for any electric vehicle. On level 2 charging, you can expect 5 to 80% battery in 6.8 hours. Level 3, it can go up to 350 kilowatt speed. Fast charging, 5 to 80% is done in 32.5 minutes. And wrapping things up, I want to mention your all-electric range as well. If you choose the base RT model, like what we're in today, that's going to give you 308 miles of all-electric range as a maximum. If you choose the Scat Pack, because it does have the same battery pack size, and it's more powerful, of course, 241 miles is your new range for that one. So keep in mind, if you want the maximum range, this RT is the way to go. That's a decent range figure, that's for sure, especially here in the RT. That means that it's going to be a pretty efficient option, above 3 miles per kilowatt hour, so pretty good stuff going on there. And let's talk pricing for this model. So I have pretty good news when it comes to the 4-door version. If you want the 4-door, it's only going to cost you around $2,000 extra over the standard 2-door version. So honestly, that's not too big of a price to pay for all that extra practicality of just being able to open the door. That means you're going to start at around $51,900 for a base RT 6-pack model. Of course, you can also get the Scat Pack. That would be around, $56,000 for the 4-door version. And then there's also the Daytona, which is going to be a little over $60,000. Now, if you're looking to buy a Dodge Charger or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth first look review at the all-new Dodge Charger 4-door. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.